This is Mercedes-Benz latest generation CLE 450 Cabriolet. And it's a masterful blend of refined luxury with masterful performance. But its standout feature of them all, it's a convertible that not only provides an open air experience, but also the best interior isolation I've seen in the market. On not just the top position, but also when it's open, thanks to these aerodynamic body panels that pop up. That was engineered just for this. Now this is the 4MATIC, which means this is equipped with an all-wheel drive system. And if you're looking for a more performance version of this, an AMG version is also available. But 0 to 60, even for this 3-liter 6-cylinder, it's just under 5 seconds. 4.6 is what I was able to find online. And so in this video, I'm going to go ahead and go not only in depth, but also share with you my daily experience when it comes to daily driving this thing, and all the unique features you need to know in case you're in the market for one, or maybe you picked one up and you want to learn something new that your car can do. All that and more in this video. Let's begin. So, well, you know the drill. What I like to always do before I start my car videos is to pop open the hood. There we go. Because when doing research on the car, it's always important to just be aware of what you're getting yourself into. In terms of like maintenance, if you absolutely have to work on your own vehicle, you're stranded somewhere, or you just picked up an old car that doesn't have warranty or anything like that, or maybe it's salvage, who knows. It's always good to just be aware how it's like doing maintenance if you ever have to. So here's the oil cap right here. And this Mercedes, from my understanding, uses OW40. But let's talk more about this engine right here. So this is indeed a mid-hybrid, which has 375 horsepower and around 369 pound-feet of torque. It is a mid-hybrid system, which means this has a 48-volt lithium-ion battery pack with an electric motor, which does feature regenerated braking, which is able to deliver this engine extra torque when needed when accelerating. And it generally gives the vehicle an additional 10 to 15 horsepower more. But let me see if I can pop out this engine cover and let's see more on what's underneath here. So this just simply folds out like so. Kind of unique, interesting. Which there is a wind tunnel that not only has one dedicated for the air box, but also has one over here around the engine block, cooling the turbo components as well, which I think is kind of clever. I'm assuming there's also your throttle. You also have your coolers located here and there for the battery. And right below here is the battery terminal. As the 12-volt battery is not located in the front, it's likely located in the rear underneath some cargo components. So is the battery located in the trunk, and when it comes to common routine tasks like changing your spark plug and stuff, you're gonna have to remove a lot. So definitely is a car I will recommend getting a certified mechanic to do minor maintenance on this machine for the long run. But the beauty about these Mercedes is, the thing I like about all Mercedes is this hood. You could actually raise it up even higher to give you the maximum reachability that's needed whenever you are indeed working on your car. I like this. I wish more automakers would have something like this without having to remove the hood entirely. But that's the engine. Let me go ahead and cover this up and put it all back together. But when it comes to fuel efficient numbers, this car is rated to have an MPG rating in city of 23 and about 32 on highway, with a combined MPG of 27 miles per gallon. And when I'm driving this thing on comfort mode, I'm easily able to average around 30 to 31 MPG, especially if I'm strictly driving this thing on highway. So it's getting really impressive MPG numbers for a 6-cylinder. This is pretty impressive. Now the front, we do have an aggressive appearance grille over here. Just the only thing I notice is this is not real. This grille design over here is just for looks, but at least there is pass-through, so your tires and brakes do receive some cooling. But here is where you'll find your sonar sensor, the unique Mercedes grille, which has this little centerpiece of the emblem. Speaking of emblems, right here is where you'll find your sonar sensors or other sensors for adaptive cruise control, as well as autopilot-like features, which this Mercedes does have. The headlights are pretty bright. They do feature auto high beams, as these are LED headlights featuring adaptive lighting technology, providing a superior illumination with dynamic turn signals. But moving out of here more to the side, you do have these large piston calipers in the front, and there's two size choices available for this Mercedes. There's 19s, and I believe the ones we have here are 20s. So these are the Mercedes 20-inch wheels. And they do look kind of chunky, but I'm assuming this is all designed for aerodynamic efficiency. So So that's why these are a little bit chunkier than normal, but I really do like the sporty spoke design. And they are paired with Goodyear tires. And this looks to be Eagle F1s. But we have two 45s in the front, and then on the rear, we have two 75s. So you are unable to do simple routines like rotating your tires, unfortunately. But nonetheless, these are pretty aggressive and very sticky tires. On the side, you see your side mirrors, which feature ambient turn signals. And on the windshield, you can kind of see it, but there are defroster lines on the side here, only for this section and that section right there. Only the corners of the windshield has that ability. And in here you can see all the Mercedes advanced camera, as well as like the little sonar sensors right there. But you do have 360 cameras, side skirts as well. Door handles for both right and left side are smart door handles. You can just simply press to lock or unlock the vehicle. And on the back here, as you're going to see in a little bit, we do have a good amount of like leg space back here for your rear passengers. Something that I wasn't able to experience very well was the M4 convertible. As you can see, the length from here to there is pretty big. And then on the side is where you'll find your gas cap, which is not lockable, unfortunately. Takes premium fuel only and holds about 17 gallons of fuel. But strictly freeway driving, I was able to get about 600 miles under a full tank, which is pretty impressive for a very fun car like this, averaging quite impressive MPG, especially if you're strictly just driving on highway. 30 miles per gallon was typically my average on highway. Now moving on to the rear, you do have your third brake light located here with a cool retro design chrome bit right here for the convertible. But a cool thing I like is not only that you have the modern day tail lights, but these tail lights actually do have amber lighting too. Because if I unlock the car, you can see it just literally turn amber. And then it has like this unique Tron DRL design. And while the lights are still on, let me show you how the DRLs look like too. Yeah, they're pretty bright. Let's go back in the back. So satellite radio and stuff like that, that's probably where this small shark fin antenna looking thing is from. And to have access to your rear, there's no button down here, unfortunately. It's this Mercedes logo. You simply just do that and it automatically opens. And then you do have your emergency release, which illuminates right here. And then this allows you to give you additional cargo space, because this is where space is normally just taken up from the convertible part. But by pressing this button, this foot will fold up, giving you full trunk space as if it wasn't even a convertible. I like that Mercedes continue to have this. And you can also fold down the seats from here without having to go inside the car for both right and left side. Underneath here, you'll find additional storage with your inflation kit. And then in here would be your fuse panel. And then to have access to your 12 volt, you're gonna have to take all this out. But you do have your recovery hook attachment there and tie down hooks, as well as little nets and more storage right here on the side. Now, interesting thing is this bin that you saw earlier came with the car, and it's foldable too. So if, give me a second real quick. And then simply just collapse like so. That's pretty cool. And it has a dedicated spot too if you don't need this. As you simply just fold this up and you place it in that little box looking outline. There we go. I had to drop the camera for a little bit and close it. So you just have that little compartment right there always stored and available for you. I like that a lot. But with that section photo and everything, you have about 13 inches of cubic feet of space. But let's close this. Well, we have to take a look down here. Unfortunately, these mufflers, these exhaust tips, they're fake. I really wish they weren't fake. But the muffler is actually located down here facing downwards. And there's no spare. Again, you gotta rely on that inflation kit that's back there in the trunk. But what you do have that's quite unique and worth mentioning is these exhaust tips. They're actually valve opening. Well, one is at least it's a dual exhaust system, and one is at least a valve one, give you more engine feedback when you put it in sport mode. And let's talk about the key fob to the vehicle. As here's the key fob, but if you don't like to use the key fob to the Mercedes, you can also have this pair with the My Mercedes app and utilize the digital key that you can have on your smartphone, and you can also share the smartphone as well, digital key with other users if you like to also give them access to your car. But with the regular key fob that comes included with this vehicle, it does have a valet key which you could pop out right here. Your panic button's located right here. Additionally, you could lock the car from here, unlock of course, and then long hold to open up the trunk. This does feature the window roll down feature. I forgot the exact name for it, which works when you lock the vehicle and then you long hold the unlock button, and then all your windows will roll down. Let's see if it also rolls down the convertible though. No, unfortunately it does not. But with the roof rolled down, this does have interior motion sensors. So if you do park this vehicle and you have the roof dropped, there are motion sensors that will kick on and will sound the alarm in case somebody is reaching in your car. And if you like to disable that, you can also disable it from the infotainment screen in the vehicle's computer, basically. And then if you wish to roll up all your windows from having them roll down, just lock the car and then long hold the lock button and all your 4 windows will automatically roll up. Now, even though the roof didn't came off when we did the global window roll down, in the computer there's a setting you can enable that functionality if you want to. But when it comes to remote starting, it's only with the app. Unfortunately, you can't do it with the physical key fob anymore. But another thing I forgot to mention is you do have projector emblems projecting out the side view mirrors onto the floor, which is very luxurious. Now I am going to attempt to go in the back seat real quick to show you how much leg room I have and stuff. So before we hop in, also notice we have illuminated door sills as well, which looks very nice. And then you just pull this and it remotely automatically will move forward, so it's easier for the rear passengers to get in on the back seat. But hopping in the back, pull this down, it will automatically position the seat where I last left it. But right now I believe the seat's on easy entry and exit, where the seat and the steering wheel itself will retract a bit, giving you easier access to get in and out of the car. So even in its far back position, notice how much leg room I have. I have a lot of good leg room. You enjoy the leather smell? It smells really nice in here. And also the LED goes all the way around the seats from the back, giving you that futuristic Tron look. But yeah, I have a lot of space back here. Good amount of headspace. I'm 5'8", so maybe if you're like 6 foot, you'll be closer to this. So you'll have to be definitely sitting in a hunch. I think the optimal size back here is probably 5'10" or less. But even at 5'8", I kind of feel somewhat claustrophobic, so headspace is not that great if for very tall folks. But for everybody else, like, I'm fairly comfortable. I even have like an armrest right here. You can kind of see that. And a speaker grill. I can even have my arm out the window if I want to. That's how comfortable it is back here, which is quite impressive for a convertible. But back here, the seats do look very sporty, futuristic. You even have like rear lights back here for your rear passengers, and the rear seats over here do have little side bolsters right here to make sure they don't move around in case the driver does some crazy stuff. You have anchor points for your child seats, cup holders, a little compartment right here for your phone. Another compartment back here even has ventilated vents which you can open and close. And it's hard to tell, but there is a USB-C port down here, which feels to be 2 USB-C ports. There we go, you can kind of see it better now. So yeah, it's shockingly roomy back here, but if you need the additional headspace in case you are someone who's 6'5", it's a convertible. You can just take down the roof, of course. And this does have like wind diffusers as well, which simply rolls up, which is all controlled in the front console, which I'll show you that right now. Okay, now we are in the driver's seat, and before I get started on showing you the front, one thing I forgot to almost mention is whenever you do the window roll down with the remote key fob, or you precondition it with the Mercedes app, is the seats will automatically begin cooling down in case you park this in the direct sun, so you don't get that bad leather burn before getting in your car. This does that. Here is the interior of this Mercedes, and it's really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the roof though and give ourselves more lighting, and then begin rolling down the windows, or rolling down the roof, I'm sorry. And in real time, this is basically how quick it is. And you could do this so long as you're driving below 25 miles per hour. There's times when I pull up in parking lots and I have to roll it up to park and secure everything on the inside while I'm like rolling on a parking lot. It's pretty quick, as you just witnessed. And then now that we have the roof down, you can see that we have actual speakers on the cover itself as well. But yes, here is the command center of the Mercedes, and it looks really amazing with the ambient lighting. Mercedes always had these amazing ambient lights on their vehicles ever since the modern day S-Class. But these seats are pretty unique because this actually blows out hot air. So when you have the top open and you still want it to be open, even though it's like really cold outside, you could have literally hot air rushing right down here through your neck. And then the seats are indeed adjustable, where you can adjust this forward or back. These seats are really comfortable and very sporty too, as they could actually hold you in tight pretty well, especially when doing sharp turns and such. But right over here, the doors do feature deep cup holders down there too if you need additional space. Glove box are pretty big. It's pretty big, nice size glove box. You can see I have like headphones in there. It's like divided in like 2 cubbies, giving you a lot of cargo space. Also, there's little knobs in there that gives you quick access to the cabin airbox filter for replacement. Not a lot of cars do it that easy. This one's pretty easy to do. That's something Mercedes has always done in the past. Remote memory seats for both driver and passenger side. And like every good Mercedes, you could adjust your seats just by pressing on these buttons right here. And then you could adjust it from 3 points: the bottom, the mid, and the headrest. Your lock and unlock button, ventilated seats, heated seats, and that head neck warmer I was telling you about earlier. You can have that on, or you can have everything on at once. So you have hot and ventilated seats at the same time, as well as the hot air rushing down your neck. And then right below here would be your window switch, and you have control for all 4 windows. You can control all of them by a single press by pressing on this button, and you can literally roll down all your windows all at once by simply just hitting that all button. And the ones in the rear are not automatic, unfortunately. Only the driver and passenger side mirrors are automatic. Trunk release button. Your headlight controls located here. You even have fog lamp controls. By enabling this, we do not have fog lamps. What it does is basically enables this light to illuminate only on the driver's side, so it's easier to identify your car in case you're driving in thick fog. And all your icons are just located here. And also shout out to the guy from a previous Mercedes video telling me more exactly how this fog lamp button works. And then you have your parking brake. And now this may look like it's carbon fiber, but it's not carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is only reserved for the AMG versions, unfortunately. But even though it's not real carbon fiber, it does have its own unique design, which doesn't look too bad. Now below here you do have cup holders. This one's smaller than the other one, unfortunately, so if you have like large drinks, you can only fit one at a time, because this is more designed for like something small, like the small Starbucks cup. But even that, it's like pretty tight, as you can see, versus this one's much larger. But if you like to give yourself more storage space, these do like fold out like so, give you more storage space, easier access to your wireless charger or your 2 USB-C ports. And then in here you have additional USB-C ports in the center armrest, and it's fairly deep. LED light right there, and it's one of these two where you can have like 2 dividers, so your side passenger can still have rest their arm while you still have access to the center armrest. And then this can be covered fully by a simple press. Now the cool thing about this convertible, if the screen is ever getting glared when you're driving down with your roof down, you can always press this button, which will bring up the screen more, eliminating any screen glare you may be facing while driving. And don't worry, there's no storage over here, unfortunately. It's just a quick button to quickly adjust the screen if you need to. But in terms of dynamics, you do have your same ones that we've seen in the past with other Mercedes models. There's eco mode, comfort, sport, and individual, which in individual you could change the gear settings. You could change the drive settings to your own personal preference if you like everything to be sport, or your steering to be comfort instead of sport. You could also customize it right here. But the thing I know is, between comfort and eco mode, these two are the best optimal for daily driving, because in comfort, both the electric motor and the drivetrain and the gas engine are both driving in their most efficient modes, because when you select sport, the electric engine is just available for your instant acceleration. In sport mode, I typically will average like 20 miles per gallon, and on comfort, since the 2 engines or motors are working simultaneously, I'm easily able to achieve about 30 miles per gallon easily without even trying. So in other words, by having sport mode, or depending on the intelligent mode you selected, these two is full gas all the time as much as possible. No eco driving at all, which is great because you experience higher RPM holds, as sport mode should, and giving you 100% engine gas feedback, not electric hybrid feedback like most modern day hybrid vehicles. So I do like that. Besides the sacrifices, you'll be burning more fuel. And then another thing right here on the center console is your convertible to lower the roof and raise the roof. And then this is what you'll push to activate your wind diffusers. As you see right there, that little screen just popped up. And another thing that popped up is the little net right here to also help out with the wind isolation for the interior as well. This actually works extremely well. As you see, it literally just pops out electronically, giving you better aero. As ridiculous it may look like, it actually is giving you better aerodynamic and better wind isolation on the inside too, if you don't want your hair to be flying around all over the place. But again, you can always roll everything down, including your windows, if you want the most open air experience. And on top here, rear view mirror, your ability to turn off all the dome lights, turn on all the dome lights, your My Mercedes for roadside service, or your SOS for emergency situations. And down here we have nothing because we do not have a sunroof. If we would, that will be where that will be located. And then over here you do have mirrors, as well as a light illuminator right there for your passengers and the driver's side. And then you do have the ability to disable your engine auto start and stop whenever you come upon a red light. And then the Mercedes steering wheel is a flat bottom, just like the AMG, just you don't have the little knobs right here to select between different customization modes. But you do have paddles for your up gear shifting and your down gear shifting. And the columns are very standard Mercedes for your gear selector and such. In terms of driver screen, you do have a 10.25 inch screen paired with a 12.3 inch here for your center console. And the steering wheel buttons are all touch sensitive buttons to select from. And the themes that you have basically the norm in terms of driver information, including GPS and your media and suspension and your throttle position. And this car does feature a heads-up display as well, which is fully customizable. If you like to see different themes that it has, you do have the classic, sport screen, navigation display, driver assistant information, or your service screen you can select from if you want that to be the dedicated one. But classic works well with me, and your heads-up display, you have these different styles to choose from, as well as heads-up display settings to control the brightness or the height, or you can disable it if you don't like it entirely. And I stated the steering wheel is in the digital, and your mirrors are all controlled with this button. And if the right side is selected and then you hit reverse, not only will your backup cameras pop up, but your side mirror will automatically roll down, which can aid you when it comes to backward parking, and then will automatically go back to its normal position as soon as you put the vehicle in drive, and will automatically disable itself and put itself in this normal position when you put the vehicle in drive. Again, it only does that if you select the right mirror. If you leave it over here, it will stay fixed regardless. Now we do have the latest Mercedes UI system, which does feature a fingerprint reader, so you can quickly log into your profile, and you can have up to, I believe, more than 5 profiles. So if you have 5 drivers in one car, you can set them up to their own personal preference. And then the climate controls do adapt to the temperature. So if I lower the temperature down, this little vent will change color depending on the temperature I'm selecting, or will go red as soon as I select the highest temperature. That's pretty cool. You have your climate menu right here, which does feature synchronization ability, as it is dual climate, and you go monitor the air quality. And then all your traditional Mercedes shortcuts still work on this car, where you can simply just long hold to quickly skip to the lowest setting, and same applies for your fan controls too, instead of having to manually tap. But we don't need this. I'm going to turn this off. In terms of your backup camera, you have full 360, which you can just rotate by simply just rotating the camera like so if you want to, or use one of these fixed ones to give you better, clearer visibility on what angle you want to see. And then these icons, fully customizable. You can long hold and just rearrange them to your personal preference. And you'll find shortcuts as well to have quick access to your wireless CarPlay as well as Android Auto, which this car does support. And if you like to, you could also have third-party apps if supported, like Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, weather, and some games right here. Comfort. These seats do feature seat kinetics, which by enabling will cause the seat to automatically randomly move. So if you are driving for a long duration and you're trying to stretch or something like that, you can always just activate that, which should help you relax. And your ambient lighting is also located here, where you can change between many different styles to choose from. But if you select monochrome, this will do a solid color, which will give you access to an RGB color wheel right here, so you can actually pinpoint to the exact color preference you enjoy. But when you select brightness, you can select between the 3 different zones individually or all linked together if you like. And then in effects, This will allow the vehicle to adapt to the warning chimes in case collision warnings popping up, or your climate controls, as I was showing you earlier with these colors, where these were changing to the color temperature you're adjusting. You could enable it or disable it from here, and you could disable the multicolor animation as well. By having that enabled, and if we go back to the color section and we select multicolor and we select one of these two colors, these colors will automatically shift from blue to red and red to blue, as you see right there. That's what that allows you to do. And then there's two themes for this Mercedes UI system. If you'd like to change it to the other theme, by quickly going into your vehicle settings, slide down to see notifications, but also see your quick access to like your lane keep assist, your assisted steering. You could also enable manual shifting too if you want to utilize your pedals, heads up display, or your seatbelt feeders. Because by pressing seatbelt feeders, this will actually come out, giving you quicker access to your seatbelt buckles, so you can easily put them on and take them off. That's pretty cool, and I like the fact you can override it. It normally does this by default when you get in your car, so you don't manually have to actually go in here and turn this on each and every time. But I like that. But back in the notification tab, if we hop into our vehicle settings, and we could go into, oh, I'm sorry, I guess it's different. So if we go into vehicle settings, right in here, and we select system, and we select display, where it says home screen, by selecting here, you can switch between the classic or the zero layer, which will give you this design of the UI, give you more information, especially if you utilize the Mercedes map. But I primarily don't like driving with this due to the fact that I enjoy using Apple Maps. So, because I always run Apple Maps, I don't use that screen, and I much prefer this cleaner layout. So personal preference right there. And then, although this is not an AMG version, if you go into Infotainment, the Info app, you can see your acceleration percentage, your torque, your brake percentage, but in the engine, it will still show you your performance numbers, your boost pressure, your horsepower, and your torque, which is quite amazing, including your oil level and pressure as well. Something I wasn't expecting from a non-AMG. So I like the fact Mercedes is still utilizing that technology, even to their non-AMG versions. And then you also have access to YouTube as well. So you can actually watch YouTube on this 12-inch display. You even have a web browser right there too. But now let's go ahead and see how this Mercedes drives. And yeah, I'll be driving with the roof up. I don't want the wind to be being picked up by the mic. Alright, driving the Mercedes 450 Cabriolet. Now I have it on sport mode right now, so you guys can get a general understanding how it sounds like when we accelerate. Let me lower the fan speed real quick. But even while it's downshifting, if you take a listen, it has pretty aggressive like verbals. So it continues to have the Mercedes heritage of like aggressive, beefy engine, even though it's not a V8. It still is able to deliver that enthusiast feedback that we all know and love. You could kind of hear the turbo as well. But even though, if we take it back to comfort mode, it's fairly quiet. And the throttle can be responsive if you need it to be. But in comfort mode as well as eco mode, that's when you get the most efficient out of this car, as both the electric motors as well as the gas motors are both communicating and working properly in harmony, giving you the best fuel efficient numbers possible, which is close to 30 miles per gallon on average, which that's pretty impressive for a vehicle like this. So we are going to be accelerating on the freeway. There happened to be a truck pulling a trailer, but I might be able to pass around it. And 60. Not bad, 0 to 60. Pretty quick, easy to get in and out of the freeway, and enough passing powers to make safe passes as well. And of course you have all the modern day safety features, lane keep assist as I showed you earlier, and all that other good stuff. And this also features Mercedes advanced autopilot like system, which if I switch to my Meta Ray-Bans, I'll be able to give you a first person view on how that will look like. So here we are. I'm going to switch the car to comfort mode. And then just like you will typically will activate your adaptive cruise control on any vehicle. Activate it here, set the speed. And let me just let this van merge in first real quick. It's set. And let's increase the speed to the speed limits. That's about right. And I can just let go of the wheel. I believe it's still pressure sensitive because it's telling me to have my hands on both the right and left position. But it's doing an excellent job maintaining speed. And if I like to increase the gap to one car length away, I could easily just change it right there. And yeah, we have to put our hand back in the wheel. This is really useful, very modern. I love using this feature, especially when it comes to like long distance driving, especially if it's like consistent like this, just 2-lane highway, and then just change lanes like so. But that's enough of that. Turning that off. Now the sound system on this thing is probably one of the best sounding sound systems I've heard in a long while. Something about Mercedes is different than other model makers, because very similar to like something like AirPods, an example, where you could do like personalized audio. The Mercedes, you could do a similar thing. Let's just pop up the radio, for example. Volume is all the way down, but if you tap the gear icon, you could personalize the audio to your ear preference. You see, by simply going into sound profile, this is where you could create that personal sound profile. So you have to have the vehicle in park to have access to this. So we just put the vehicle in park and tap the gear icon. You can either modify your existing one or tap reconfigure, and it's going to play like a series of songs. So if we hit yes, it'll walk us through the whole personalization ability. And the way it works, it plays a series of musical instruments, and you just adjust the volume to your personal preference. If you enjoy bass, if you enjoy like the low tones more, and then just basically find the balance between these two instruments, tap continue, adjust how aggressive you want these two musical instruments to sound, and then balance it from here. And then you have drums, and then it could be more bass focused, more intense, more bright, or more vocal focused, and just keep moving around until you find the sweet spot to your personal preference. And then you could adjust how aggressive you want the surround sound to be, and then tap continue if you want a more natural sound, soft, warm, pitch. It's really amazing. And here you can select between the original playback, how it used to sound like, and then the outcome that we created, and then tap finish, and that's it. So now whenever you listen to your music, the EQ setting is personalized to your ears. Much better than traditional EQ settings, which just gives you access to this. This, at least you could add your personality to your surround sound system, as if it was tuned by a audiophile. But in terms of like city driving, it's really easy to daily drive this car if you need to. And with the MPG numbers that this car is getting, it's pretty impressive. And when it comes down to its handling, it handles really well. The overdrive system, I feel like, definitely helps. Not once have I felt like this lost traction if I just floored it real hard. Of course, that all matters on tires, but the tires that this comes stock with are really good, especially for daily driving use, of course. And for the twisties, this is still pretty fun to drive. And there we have it. That is all the amazing things that this 450 Cabriolet has to offer. Honestly, it's a fun car. It's definitely a fun car. Daily drive. It's quick when you need to. Has excellent traction for when the road conditions just get rough. And you take the full advantage of a modern day convertible. No, it's not a hard top, but this convertible is more than enough for like daily commutes and stuff here and there. And the benefits of being a soft top is, of course, you don't add the additional unnecessary weight that most typical hard tops tend to struggle with. And I like the fact that this soft top, that even though this is a soft top, it has an actual rear glass. So you don't have to worry about the rear becoming discolorful and stuff and wearing out really badly. So there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you'd like to watch another video, maybe something differently designed, maybe you could be interested in the BMW M4, which I do. I'll go ahead and go in depth as well in that video over there. Thank you so much for watching.